The story starts with a Japanese girl named Mitsu falling off a cliff to her death, but before she hits the rocks, she screams and clenches her fist, then loses consciousness. She then wakes up in a foreign field with a cut in her palm from clenching it so hard, but the rest of her body is not injured. She looks up to see that the moon is big AF and questions if she's in a whole different world. She then starts having flashbacks of her everyday life, school, and the tragic death of both her parents and big brother. She also remembers that she kicked a guy in the nuts right before she fell back down the cliff. Guess that's karma. Mitsu then wonders what her dead brother would think, and she envisions him with bikini girl posters in his bedroom, telling her that she still has a sense of self, so she's alive, and she's not dreaming because she wouldn't be feeling pain and hunger. With this conclusion, she gets up to find food, and after walking for days, she comes across a white-haired little girl in the woods named Colette. Mitsu is glad to finally find another person, then she collapses from tiredness. Colette brings Mitsu back to her house, and after she wakes up, she realizes that she couldn't understand the language that Colette is speaking, but is still grateful that she saved her. Colette's mom then brings her some food and water, and they stare at her while she eats. LOL. As she's stuffing her face, she looks at her hand and sees that her wound is somehow healed. After eating, she tells Colette her name is Mitsu, which makes Colette so excited that she hugs Mitsu so hard that she starts tapping like Conor McGregor when he fought Khabib. Colette's dad then walks into the room to tell her it's bedtime, and Mitsu remembers her own father who passed away and sleeps in sadness. The next day, she wakes up and feels like she's completely recovered from the fatigue, and she walks out to see she's in a lovely little village, and she takes her morning piss in the stinky old school toilet with no flush. Then Colette runs up to her telling her to go back to rest, but she shows her that she's fully recovered by doing a handstand and almost shows her panties, then falls, which makes both of them laugh. They quickly become best buddies and they go into the forest to pick mushrooms. Colette then suddenly stops, sensing danger, and Mitsu turns around to see a pack of wolves looking at them like they're a snack. She remembers the time her big brother protected her, and she is determined to protect Colette. She tells Colette to use her insane grip strength to climb up a tree, and she pushes her ass for extra support. Then she dashes in another direction to lead the wolves away, but she trips and falls. On the ground she finds a rock but is too frozen with fear to use it, and as the wolf pounces on her, she teleports to her house and the wolf gets scammed. Mitsu is now beginning to realize that she has this new power that allows her to teleport to different worlds, like that America girl in Doctor Strange. In Colette's world, she's struggling to hold onto the tree while the wolves look at her like she's a full course meal. Back on Earth, Mitsu remembers her brother as she gears up with a slingshot, steel pellets, a pocket knife, spice shake, and a kitchen knife, getting ready to teleport back. Right as Colette slips lower, a wolf jumps up and gets shot in the face. Mitsu is like guess who's back motherfucker and distracts the wolf again. As the wolf finds her in the bush, she throws pepper and spice in its face, causing it to go blind, and she puts the wolf in a spliff. She comes out of the battle looking like Jeff the Killer, and the other wolves shit themselves and run away. Then she collapses again and reawakens in a white void, where she meets a spiritual lucky cat who has the ability to travel to different worlds. And the cat explains to her that while she was falling off the cliff, she wanted to live so bad that she somehow snatched some of its power, so now she can also travel between different worlds with her mind. Mitsu is happy to learn she acquired teleport hacks, and the cat confirms that she gained regeneration hacks as well, cause why not? The cat asks Mitsu if she has any final requests, and Mitsu asks if she can have the ability to understand different languages, and the cat casually grants her that power too. Brah. The generous deity then says goodbye and pieces out. Mitsu wakes up in Colette's home again and realizes that she can understand and speak Colette's language. Colette questions how she learned their language in her sleep, and Mitsu brushes it off like nothing. And Colette doesn't really care anyways because she is just glad she's back and hugs her to death again. Colette's mom then brings her more food and tells her that she's happy her daughter has someone close to her age to play with, which annoys her because she's like 10 years older than Colette. Then her dad gives her a bag of silver and gold coins as gratitude for killing the wolves. Later, while Mitsu is contemplating her power, she wonders what her nerdy brother would do, and gets a brilliant idea. She realizes she could bring things from Earth to this world to sell for gold coins and get rich. With further thought, she also realizes that she needs to become rich in both worlds, just in case she somehow loses her power and gets stuck in one of them. She calculates that in total she needs 2 billion yen between two worlds in order to retire comfortably, and she makes it her new life goal to get this done. Next morning, she sees the dad try lighting a fire with flint and steel, deal and realizes that they don't even have lighters or matches. After the morning piss, some guys recognized her as a wolf-slaying hero, and she talks to them to find out about day-to-day life. They tell her that this village is ruled by a generous lord named Count Klaus Bozes, someone with political power who actually reduces taxes and builds better roads, something our own leaders could learn from. Anyways, Mitsu sees Count Bozes as her opportunity to climb the social ladder and get rich. Colette overhears Mitsu ask them how to get to Count Bozes' town and the city capital where rich people live. The guys tell her that it's very far for a child to travel, and she tells them that she's actually an adult, and they are shocked because she looks so young. Then Colette yells at her not to go because she doesn't want to lose her friend, so she brings her home and squeezes her soul out again. Mitsu tells her that she'll come back one day to visit, which cheers Colette up momentarily. Then she goes back to squeezing. The next morning she heads out on the wagon and thinks about how she needs to rizz up this Count Bozes for her own benefit. She then realizes that there's no way she would be able to rizz up anyone because she stinks like shit. So she tells the driver to drop her, and she uses her power to teleport back to Earth, and she lands in her room. She's glad that it worked, and now she can finally take a bath. And while she's here, she may as well get fully prepared, so she heads to the bank to withdraw some inheritance money and goes online to find a facility that teaches how to use guns, in case she encounters wolves again. She takes a few tries to teleport there because this place is somewhere she's never been, but with the help of Google Maps, she eventually makes it, and quickly gets stopped by a guard, so she bribes him to allow her to speak with the boss. Inside, she meets the jacked captain, who's a bit sus. Why a little girl wants to become John Wick, but he's getting rich with cash and gold coins that he thinks are worth $200 each, so he has no problem. Mitsu calculates based on that number. She needs 80,000 gold coins to make 2 billion yen. Then they shake on it and make the deal, and he starts lecturing her on gun safety. Then he takes her to the shooting range, and she misses all her shots like a noob. For the next few days, she spends the evenings studying medieval societies to learn more about the other world because they are similar, and during the day she would practice in the gun range. She learns how back in the day, bandits made a living by robbing traveling merchants, and that gives her even more motivation to master firearms. And after envisioning taking down a bunch of bandits, she hits a perfect bullseye. Next, she starts researching about what she could sell in the other world for cash. And then she goes out to buy jewelry and a fancy dress so she can act rich in the other world. Then she hops on her bike and brings that to the other world as well for faster travel, but panics when she comes across some other people in the forest. She doesn't want to be seen, so she instantly teleports back. After more preparation and travel, she finally makes it to the estate where Count Bozes lives. She tries to enter, but gets stopped by guards, and she doesn't have enough gold to bribe them. While being depressed from rejection, she gets passed by a carriage carrying two rich-looking boys. She asks an old woman who they are, and she tells them they're Count Bozes' sons heading out. Mitsu gets an idea and teleports to the path that they are about to cross, and just as they get close, she jumps out of the bushes and acts like a damsel in distress and falls next to the carriage. The kind boys are now forced to help her, and her infiltration scheme worked. They bring her to Count Bozes' mansion, and she rests in his big-ass bed with four dudes staring at her. She wakes up and thanks them for helping her and meets the man Bozes himself. Later, she got a chance to talk with the Bozes family. She acts like she's a rich family's girl and starts making up some bullshit stories to make them like her. She also gives them a Swiss Army knife as a thank you gift, and everyone is shocked because in this world they've never seen it before. Then she starts flattering the Count, his family, and his people with praise, rizzing him up. This worked perfectly because the Count then invites her for dinner. She goes to dinner in her fancy dress, making the Count blush. Then he introduces his wife, Iris, his sons, Alexis and Theodore, and his 13-year-old daughter, Beatrice. And Mitsu is a bit surprised that a 13-year-old's boobs are bigger than her own. Then as she eats, she pretends the food is good, even though it's shit, and continues making up sob stories about her tragic past and tells them she wants to start a new life here, making an honest living. And the Count is touched by her inspirational life story. Mitsu then asks them if she should sell her pearl necklace in order to fund her first business, and Iris suddenly acts like she has a rocket up her ass. She starts furiously lecturing Mitsu about how luxurious her necklace is and says it's too priceless to sell. So Mitsu suggests taking it apart and selling the pearls individually, and the wife turns into a straight demon, terrifying her. Finally, she tries to make a deal with the family where she gives them the necklace in exchange for enough money to start her own shop in the capital, and to seal the deal, she rizzes up Iris by telling her how she's just as beautiful as her mother, which makes her cry tears of joy. This girl's manipulation skills are insane. Anyways, the son Alexis then starts simping for Mitsu but gets politely rejected. The younger son Theodore asks her if she has more cool knives to show them, and she pulls out a knife from her leg. The family is shocked, not because of the knife, but because she showed too much skin, which is haram in this culture. But anyways, the son finds it cool, and the businesswoman in Mitsu comes out, and she sells the knife to him for 1 gold coin. Alexis then asks if she has any other cool gadgets he can also buy, and she jokingly says the only thing she has left on her is her panties. But Alexis do be down bad, so he actually offers to buy her panties for real. Bruh. Mitsu then decides, fuck it, and goes full Bella Delphine and says she'll actually sell her panties for 5 silver. Then, Theodore says he'll beat that price with another gold coin if she sells it to him instead. Bruh, this is the most down bad family I ever seen. After some tea, Beatrice walks up to Mitsu to talk, and she can't stop looking at her huge underage tits. After she stops being down bad herself, she tells Beatrice about how she wants to start a general store or restaurant because the food here is so shit. As Mitsu bonds some more with the family, she accidentally spills a cup. This triggers a quick flashback where she remembers her dead parents, and she becomes extremely sad and cries in the arms of Boses. Ain't no way she's doing this just to make a politically powerful family emotionally attached to her even more, cause that would be some 10,000 IQ manipulation strat. Next morning, her work paid off because she got a case full of cash from the count. She says goodbye and promises to come back to visit someday, and gets on the carriage to head to the royal capital to start her business. Subscribe to find out next video if she becomes a billionaire or goes completely bankrupt.